Good afternoon. Dr. Deb here. I just feel like I want to share and talk out there. Last YouTube, or one of these little things that I put out there, I was really angry and pretty upset of everything that's happening energetically here. And then I was sick. So I'm feeling better. And I just really wanted to take the time to kind of talk with the masses, if you will. I guess that's what this Facebook stuff's all about. How do I feel? You know what comes to mind, and I posted it the other day, was cognitive dissonance. And what that is, it's when we live a certain way and then something comes in, new information, and we really don't know how to sit with both narratives. It's like there's this, but then there's this, and this can't be because that way it destroys this. And if I destroy this, who am I? Because this is new information. So how do I manage and hold on to both? So that's kind of what I want to talk about. You know, I'm experiencing it myself. I made a decision to go really deep down the rabbit hole of some of this stuff that is happening in media. We know what the matrix is. I mean, we've all been talking about that for so long. We know what conditioning is in our minds. We've been conditioned. I posted something today. It was on school systems. And I was an educator for, I guess, about 18 years. I worked with pre-K through 8th grade. At the time I left, I had 500 students. I was a school principal. And I loved it. It was fantastic. However, things came in my own cognitive dissonance, and I left the church, and I became Dr. Deb. And in so doing, it took me into a place of learning to manage and to have open hands, open heart, being able to give from a whole place. What's happening is, I believe, is we have, as I've shared before, we have what we call issues in the tissues. We have our experiences that have been from the time we are born, and to be honest with you, while you're in your mother's womb, and then you got intergenerational stuff that comes in from all of that. But there's so much that makes you who you are, that makes me who I am. And then to be able to take those, quote, introjects, as they're called, what we have been conditioned with in life, and how we learn how to respond to other people, and everything is really in the field of what we've learned. So as we're shifting, you guys, and stepping into another level, really, on the planet, and fighting for what we're fighting for, Standing Rock. I mean, I've heard some things out there on Facebook of people going, what are you doing out there? Go home, go back to work, go and do all this stuff. I don't think people understand, the conditioned mind, that it's not necessarily about that. It's about people having full human presence. And what does that mean? Full human presence. It's being with yourself, with all of your faculties and all your senses, and living inside this body temple, and knowing what you do and why you do, and having full consciousness on that. It's that's a lot. People don't understand that. They often, if you think about it, I talked about it in a session this morning, a book that I read years ago called Inner Work by Robert Johnson, and he talked a lot about how we are so conditioned, and he says, think about it, as you're driving down the road and you're going to work that morning. Do you remember leaving the house, and do you remember that 20 minutes that took you to get to work? Do you remember? Nah. I mean, years ago in my internship, I can remember somebody come in and be very, very nervous and very anxious about something, and they were an overload. And I would stop them and say, you know what, I'm going to stop you. I remember it was a business guy. I said, I want to know what you had for lunch. What did you have for lunch today? And he stopped because he couldn't really remember, because he was so busy. He had, five tabs open at one time, like a computer, right? And so I said, here's your homework for tonight, or for this week. I want you to go home and I want you to eat an orange. And I want you to take a full half hour, or maybe an hour at the time. I was a little bit extreme, I suspect. But that long to eat that orange. I really want you to experience eating that orange, what it tastes like, what it was to peel it. I mean, all of that. That's how you find your full human presence. You take time when you're walking. Back in those years, Barbara DeAngelis, she had a book called Real Thoughts. No, it wasn't Real Thoughts. Real Moments. And Barbara DeAngelis, she was like one of the first psychologists that I studied. And she used to be married to John Gray. Interesting story about the two of them and such. And then they split their ways, with their own egos and such. But yeah, real moments, inner work. What do you remember of your dinner last night and your talk with your kids? What do you remember? I mean, or are you just kind of getting things done? I think when back in my years of raising my children, I think that I was wanting to be perfect. So I made sure everything was this, and this, and did I miss a lot? Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's slowing down. There's people that are doing different that I'm aware of and participated in different plant medicine in order to get to understand. You got ayahuasca, you have San Pedro and such, and I was paying attention to why does somebody want to put something inside of them such as that. It's because we're so busy that we're not slowed down enough. We need to slow the heck down. That was pretty good. I didn't cuss. We need to slow down in order to really see and hear each other. There's so much happening right now that people are, it's like cognitive dissonance. It's like, is this really happening? Oh my God. And what I want to say as far as the energies and such go, I want to bring a parallel process into something. How many of you guys saw, it's a great film, I used to use it in therapy a lot, Monsters, Inc. Do you remember that? Monsters, Inc. Well, they would get the kids afraid, and then they would suction off their energy. And I think on some level, the collective gets all enmeshed, and then the energy is just wasted. And it's getting suctioned off the vampires and, whatever. So, not that there's really vampires, or maybe there are, I don't know. But, yeah, become aware of that. And then if you remember, they taught them how to laugh, and so they were feeding off of the laughter towards the end of the movie. There's also, so that's kind of what I really want to put out there is like, let's stay in the positive. Let's stay where we're not getting all shook up for no reason. And not that there's no reason, because there is a reason to be shook up. Like I said, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. There's, that righteous anger, that's important. But what's really even more important is owning that, sitting with it, letting it run through your veins. And then from a positive stance from the inside out saying, you know what, no, here's my boundaries, here's what I'm capable of doing. Because it's important to, A, know thyself, to thine own self be true. And it's important to be with full human presence. What we're needing is to be seen and heard. And when things are overwhelming, we dissociate, which what that means is we exit. And then we go into automatic. Watch yourself. You'll stay in patterns. Follow your patterns. Be aware of that. Yeah, there's so much I want to share, and I'm going to. I'm going to start doing more of these. There's just a lot. There's a whole lot right now. Slow down. Slow down, people. Slow down. Get into your heart space. I said, what's needed right now is heart wisdom. It's not in our head, it's in our hearts. Not in our heads, in our hearts. What needs to happen now is the slowing down. A lot of people are going out to Standing Rock. I may be going back out there. It's magic. People are going out there and filling themselves up. I know I did. It was tough. But what I experienced was the same thing I experience when people are trying to do the plant medicine or trying to, I guess, get into therapy and doing something. What they're needing is that full human presence. What they're needing is this, hi. No words sometimes, it's room is filled. And letting it come from the inside out rather from the outside in. We have been conditioned from the outside in. We've been conditioned with Madison Avenue. We've been conditioned with Hollywood and what we're supposed to be. And it's all bullshit, it just keeps people into the matrix. It keeps people in a feedback loop. Feedback loop, what I mean by that is things will go around and you get really close to expanding and doing something different. And what happens is, because of whatever, people shut down and then they get back into the feedback loop. So it's on that hamster wheel. So get off the hamster wheel, get off the feedback loop, try to transcend your emotions. And how do you do that? You do it by slowing down, reflection, because everything at this point, you guys, everything is consciousness. Behind the eyes, you got your third eye right there. Tap into that consciousness. And when you're with people, tap into to them. Tap into compassionate listening. Yeah, slow down and get into the heart space. And don't make any decisions. Right now, everything is just too, stay in the heart, like I said, and stay in love, and stay in grace, compassion. Yeah. I think that's enough for today. I just, and maybe I'll talk later on today. And I'll do some of these live, but in the meantime, sharing from the heart, being in the heart, slowing down so I can feel my body. I can listen to my heartbeat. Eckhart Tolle did something, he talks about the pain body and all that, which is shadow. But, he talked about, kind of going to a space like this and I take people behind the eyes with the white light and all that, but, then holding that energy in your hand to the point where you can feel your hand. You can feel it start to tingle. And then give it more energy. There's an energy ball that I'm holding right here. Take that energy, start to play. Oh, start to play with it, and let your body feel. If you can do it, I work with my big mirror here. But sit and get in front of a mirror and do it with yourself. I mean, tap into yourself. Become aware of yourself. Know thyself, to thine own self be true. Be with yourself, be with your heart, and then be with your children, be with your mother, be with your spouse, be with people with that full human presence of hi, fully there with no agenda, just to really listen, and not to listen to give a chance to respond, because but to fully listen. Sometimes people don't need a response; they just need to talk. So anyway, you guys, I'm looking over here. I see this really amazing book, The Invitation. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me of how old you are. I want to know what you will risk, looking like a fool to love, for your dream, for your adventure, to be alive. What is aliveness? It's heart space. Well, blessings, you guys, today on this Wednesday. Almost December. And just holding all of us in sacred space. Hummingbird Temple loves you. I love you. And let's bring the angels back. Crazy stuff. And yes, I'm doing some research on this Pizzagate and this crazy stuff that we have going on. Kanye West, what's going on in Hollywood, people? I say let's get the water good, and let's get these children taken care of. if indeed there's this thing with these kids, not okay. So a lot of prayers. The other thing I shared before, I light candles all the time. Every day. I mean, it's like, hey, they did it in the churches. I figure why not have a temple? But I light candles because I believe there's something that I thought about even back in the days of the church. There's something that when you walk into a dark room, candle just went out. When you walk into a dark room and you turn on a light, there's dark. It's not there anymore. If you turn out a light, you blow out a candle, it's going to get dark. So there's something about light. I'm all about light. Love and light, which got a little bit redundant, But there's something about light. So as I'm studying all this stuff, I'm lighting candles and I'm praying. Always protect your field. Anytime you want to do research on something, protect your field on all dimensions. Hedge of protection about us. I of course bring in Christ, consciousness and all of that. But make sure that you are protecting yourself as you study. If people are and ignorance is not bliss. I said don't put your head in the sand. It's time to not put your head in the sand and to figure out what that shadow is, what's triggering you, and all of that stuff. It's time for that. It's time to fill all the holes up within, our ego grids, and to be in that full human presence, to be in love, to be in that heart space, because that very center, somebody's at my door, sending so much love and light. Blessings.